we are going to go over shading forms, and that is the sphere, cube, cylinder, and cone. I'm starting off with the cube just because it's the hardest shape to draw. You can follow along with me with starting one side and then equaling it to the other side. I try to avoid doing the top until I get these two sides going, and then that way I can do that. Remember to always slant things back and then slant things back to the other point. You can also do the square and then draw another square and then line up those other lines. However, it's not a form unless if you erase the lines that go through it. That makes it a cube. We are now going to move on to the cone. The cone is a little easier to draw in my opinion because all you are doing is drawing a triangle like you normally would, except making a smiley face at the bottom of it. Our third option is also going to be the cylinder. The cylinder, you start off with the circle. It does not have to be a perfect circle. Draw two lines down and again connecting it with a slight curve like I'm showing at the bottom. You want to match up the two sides. And again, I'm not asking for perfect, just a cylinder. The last one we're going to draw is the sphere, and that is also just drawing a circle. Again, I'm not asking for a perfect circle. If you really want to change it, of course, that's why you're working in pencil. Every form has a light source or to make a cast shadow. So I'm just going to draw these little suns. I'm going to draw the cone over on this side. The cylinder I'm going to do right on top of the form. And then on the sphere, I think I'm going to do it diagonally as well. Light sources, again, are the most important thing, so that's why it's always trying and good to mark where your light source is going to hit the object. To understand where we put our light source, we are going to now add darker value on the opposite side of each object. For the square, it would be right here. Cone, again, shading the opposite side, making sure to go as dark as I can first. The top would be into the middle of the cylinder. For the sphere, I'm reading it again on the other side, so it should layer about here. I'm making it also curl into the light because it is a rounder surface. Next, we need to think about the cast shadow. Now with squares, it's more going to be an out and then in. Cones are going to have a more roundish feel on the outside. Since there isn't as much cast shadow, you just need to do a line and then you do a oval for the sphere. Next, we're just going to fill in the cast shadows that we just drew. I'm using a black marker so that way it can really pop. If you do not have a black marker, you can change the pressure on your pencil, or you can actually use a dark colored pencil. Now we're also going to add a lighter shadow on the other side of the cube. And we're going to add another layer of lighter layers on the other objects. I'm adding an extra detail such as using pencil on top of the cast shadow to kind of feather it in. Now we're just simply repeating the similar steps that we did on the cube on the rest of the other objects. Again, adding in a small, slight other layer, pencil to the cast shadow just to kind of feather that up, and then I'm going to move on to the cylinder to do the exact other same thing. Remember, when you get to the sphere, you're kind of curling the value around the circle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and use my finger to start blending all of the layers that I put together. If you accidentally lose your highlight, your white area, you can always go back like I did with an eraser. The final step is to go back and add your darker layer back in. When you blend with your finger, it loses that darker because you did blend it in with your finger. So you're just simply going back over your last darker layer just to kind of get that pop back into the shade. You're then repeating back into the cylinder, blending with your finger. I'm also erasing any highlights that I want to get back. And then again, I'm going to go back over and add a little pressure just for that dark layer that I lost while blending. And I'm going to do the same thing for the cone. Now I'm going to do the cube, which is the last, blending with your finger. It should look like that. I'm going to blend outside because sometimes you guys do that, and simply you're just going to go back with the eraser just to kind of get that cleaner edge. And then you're going to go back over it with the pencil to get your darker layer back. And then you should start seeing 4 shaded, well-valued forms.